Yeah.
Good morning. I want to
Good
say something
morning.
new and fresh and different, but I don't know what to say except good morning. How about buenos dias? How's that?
That's lovely.
Isn't it? Pretty sure I just said have a good day.
And what about in Japanese?
Oh, yeah, no.
Ohayo gozaimasu.
Huh?
Ohayo gozaimasu.
Ohio gozaimasu.
Yes.
Go Ohio. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
No, no, no. Okay.
Here we
Okay.
go. Sorry, someone's groaning right now. Lesson 213. We're in reviews. The main idea. Sis, oh, am I reading this one?
You are.
Okay. Lesson 213, the main idea for the review is I am not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. And this is a review of previous lesson 193, entitled All Things Are Lessons God Would Have Me Learn. Okay. A lesson is a miracle which God offers to me in place of thoughts I made that hurt me. What I learn of him becomes the way I am set free. And so I choose to learn his lessons and forget my own. That's some good advice. I am not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. And
Uh,
turning back, yes,
sorry. Can I add something here?
yeah,
Uh, Going back on what you've just read, a lesson is a miracle which God offers to me in place of thoughts I made that hurt me.
yeah,
That is huge. Okay. A lesson is a miracle which God offers to me in place of thoughts I made that hurt me. That's the opposite to the way that the ego sees lessons,
right,
because it believes that lessons are painful, that
right,
God gives us painful lessons. And he says very clearly here that a lesson is a miracle which God
yeah,
offers to me, all right, in place of thoughts that I made that hurt me. I love that.
me too. So when something comes up that causes us to feel a trigger, a wobble, the thought that something is wrong, he,
Mhm.
this is actually inviting us to recognize that this is coming to us for our greatest good, and that if we're present enough and that we're willing to ask with Holy Spirit what the ego would use to harm and to separate, Holy Spirit is bringing to bless and unify. So it's our call on what we're using every experience for. And it can be completely happy. We actually come to love those that trigger us, because when we're willing to see it as an opportunity to receive a miracle, and then we do receive the miracle, which is like this healing of our mind into unified perception where fear is transmuted into love, then we're just nothing but grateful for the scenario or the circumstance or the brother that seemed to trigger us.
Yeah, and then we reach a state of anticipation
Yeah,
of the miracle behind the appearance, the ego appearance. So we know that if there's a trigger, there's got to be its opposite behind it, right?
that's right.
Yeah.
And the ego will come in with this, and I know this firsthand, that if the miracle isn't experienced right away, then the ego will sit there and say, well, it doesn't always work that way. It's not always miraculous. A long time seems to have elapsed before there's been some sort of correction. What gives, right? God seems to be absent on this one. And I want to encourage you to recognize that when the healing and the correction isn't quick or even instantaneous, there is a beautiful purification process. There is something going on that's completely guided and directed by Holy Spirit. It has been received by Holy Spirit. And the one who knows the bigger picture, everything is being orchestrated under his perfect wisdom. So it's trusting and it's recognizing with gratitude, I am being made ready. And I don't have to understand how or what, but I'm grateful for each layer that's brought to my awareness that I'm letting go. I'm being changed because of my degree of willingness. So no self-judgment, no uncertainty, and let's not let the ego's favorite of doubt. Even 1% doubt is all doubt, and doubting God is not loving God supremely or at all. So yes, take heart. There's something in progress on your behalf, and it's better than what you could humanly outline. I promise.
Thank you, sis. Yeah, he says here too, God sees no contradictions, and yet his son believes he sees them. Through the ego filter, we believe we see contradictions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just a note here to remind us that the ego cannot forgive. All we can do is to abdicate the ego's wish to condemn, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we need to join wholeheartedly with Holy Spirit to abdicate our wish to judge, our wish to blame, our wish to condemn, whatever it might be. And it may be with other people, it might be the body, it could be our bank account, whatever it is. It could also be ourself that we wish to condemn, right? And to accept Holy Spirit's correction in our mind as the atonement.
Right.
Yeah. Just to remember that the ego cannot forgive.
And how do we
need to switch? Go on.
No, and we know it's the ego that's trying to forgive if there's still a sense of being unfairly treated, right? In true forgiveness, we remember we're taking accountability for our projections. That's our stuff that we've overlaid onto a brother so that we can remain falsely innocent. That's corrupted innocence because it comes at the price of a brother's guilt. So we take it all back into the place of the mind, give it to Holy Spirit who heals our perception. And that's where we have gratitude for our brother. That's true forgiveness. If the ego's forgiving, there's still a sense of, well, I might forgive, but I won't forget. You know, there's that memory of being unfairly treated that still burns. When I went back and looked at lesson 193, there was something that really stood out, and I want to reason with all of you together because I just saw this recently again on Facebook, that there's some arguments around this idea, and this lesson speaks to it perfectly. Y'all don't remember this, do you?
I've seen that somewhere.
Yeah. Look at the first line of the first 3 paragraphs. Okay, so this is knowledge. Here we become this mythical me on a search for truth. So this is the realm of perception and the realm of learning. This is the one that's educating and taking the course and doing the lessons, right? He says, God does not know of learning. Okay? God sees no contradictions. So this is the realm of duality, good and something else, God's will and its opposite, right? The opposite of all of what God made. So life and death, perfection, imperfection, health and sickness. You get it. God sees no contradictions. And God offers no forgiveness, for he knows that no sin is possible. And this whole gap diagram here in the center is the idea of sin, which is another way of saying it's the idea of separation. So God's not in here. God doesn't know about this. God doesn't know about the contrast. God doesn't know about a sleeping son who thinks it's separate. Now, he does say in this first paragraph, God does not know of learning, yet his will extends to what he does not understand, in that he wills the happiness his son inherited of him be undisturbed, eternal, and forever gaining scope, eternally expanding in the joy of full creation, and eternally open and wholly limitless in him. Okay, that's God's will for his son. That's our function. He's declared it, he's decreed it, and so it is. He says, this is his will. And thus, his will provides the means to guarantee that it is done. So while God is not here, wherever his son seems to find himself, the means for God's will to be done is always right with us. That was the creation of the one, the inner teacher, the one who knows, the voice for God that went with us, that's always in our mind, even here in the dream of separation. Okay. So this is the key. God's not in the gap, but the means go with us forever, eternally.
Right. And that's the atonement right there.
Yes, it is. That's
and,
right.
And that's available. How often is that available?
Eternally, consistently, forever, in all ways. Yes.
Right. In this very moment, right?
Exactly. In now. Yeah. So it's really big. So we don't draw, and that's why prayer doesn't drag or pray that God come in to know what cannot be known. This is meaningless because it's not happening. It's illusion. So we can't ask God to be insane with us, but we can appeal to the Holy Spirit to heal this thought of separation and come back and be, aware of where we are right now in God, in the peace of God, knowing we have full knowledge, right? We have just forgotten it. So this is how he created us, and this is how we remain. So I think that hopefully that gives some insight as to whether God knows about the gap or not.
Helpful.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. And then he's talking about the one whom God created to replace the foolish thought which crept into the mind of his most holy son with peace and joy, fulfills his function now. And he redirects every lesson that we would teach for fear and for hate and separation for, love and truth and union. So that's why our only function here in the gap, the only time anything real is happening is through this one function that we do, which is this forgiveness, right? And he says, forgive, and you will see this differently.
That's just what I was about to say. One mind.
Yes. Yes. These are the words the Holy Spirit speaks in all of your tribulations, all your pain, all suffering, regardless of its form. Do you think that's literal?
Yes.
Is that like deathbed or a hangnail or a migraine or homelessness or spousal abuse or, what is the form? It's some form of conflict projected outward. Our only response is forgiveness. Forgive, and you will see this differently because your perception will be healed. It's not actually going on. And there is a way to see what's really behind there. But first, you've got to let go of making that your aim and the idol that you're serving. Some proof that the separation has occurred. Yeah. So learn to say these words when we are tempted to believe that pain is real and death becomes our choice instead of life. This is our response. Shall we not learn to say these words when we have understood their power to release all minds from bondage? They give power over all events which seem to have been given power over you. You see them rightly when you hold these words in full awareness, and do not forget these words apply to everything you see or any brother looks upon amiss. That's so big. It's the panacea. Sorry, sis. What were you going to say?
If I am not at peace, I'm obviously mistaken in believing that something in the gap has power greater than God and greater than his son.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, my trigger is the proof that I actually believe what my senses are reporting. God, but this is also true.
Right. Okay, so there's quite a lot of forgiveness to do, isn't there?
Yes. But there's a quickening. There's this I hear our friend John Mark Stroud in my mind right now, but about there's this bulk forgiveness. And, whereas before I would sit there and take a trigger and I'd go through the forgiveness and I would accept atonement, and it was like piecemeal, I'd take it through, make sure I wiped it out of my mind. And now doesn't it become almost automatic? You don't even have to remember the steps. You've done it so many times that it's instantaneous, that this need not be. This isn't, it need not be. I withdraw consent. I mean, that's almost how quickly it occurs, because once you've done forgiveness 100 times, you can get there like that.
Yeah, that's it. Because you recognize as soon as there's any feeling of unrest, pain, suffering, any kind, in that moment we go, okay, there's my alarm alerting me to seeing that I have stepped out of vertical alignment. Right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, just valuing, the mind is valuing something that isn't there. So do I want to stay in the illusion, or do I want reality? Just ask the one for help, the one who knows. Forgive. I will forgive and this will disappear.
Do you think he means that literally?
Yeah, I know he does. I've watched things disappear that I swore would never disappear. And I'm so grateful in those moments. It's like, wow, it really is. These really are illusions. They're not happening to me. And the power to make them disappear always resides within us.
Thank you.
Empowering. Yeah. Thanks, sis.
Thanks, sis. Yeah.
Okay. That's all things. All things are lessons God would have me learn. We can lean in and be excited and see it as a positive thing, not this, why is this happening to me? Well, why did you ask it to happen to you? What's it serving? Okay. We love you and thank you. And we'll see you next time, family. Thanks, sis.
Thank you. Thank you.